Hi guys, how you doing? Senior Gaming here, and in today's episode I'm bringing you Marriage Girls and I'll be talking World Raid. So if you're Marriage Girls player or perhaps idle gamer, then make sure you subscribe to the channel as I post as often as possible and bring you best tips and advice. And if you enjoy what you see, then you know what to do and smash this like button as well. Okay then, so let's get straight to the point, shall we? So I'm gonna head over to a world and select a world raid. As you see, this is now fully on flames, which means it wants to talk about it. Okay, right, so what we see on a screen in front of us. So first of all, we're gonna go against this very boss, and obviously the first thing we're very interested is gonna be reward. So apart gold, we're actually gonna go and try to get a wisdom crystals. These crystals are then used for potential of your characters, and as you see, wisdoms are actually for supporters classes. I have put out video about potential. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely encourage you. But basically, potential is to enhance your character's stats. Okay. And obviously, on top of that, you need to be mindful about remaining time, which means every single day when the game resets, half an hour before that time, the scores will be calculated, won't be able to enter. So you got to do it pretty much, I would recommend, the latest 1 hour before the game resets. Then what we see in here is all server damage dealt, which means we're gonna participate as a whole group of heroes here to deal as much damage as possible. And as you see, this is all nicely filled in, meaning tomorrow or on the next rotation, we're gonna get 250 gems. And this is very good because actually you will be able to purchase 2 extra challenges every single day, and I definitely encourage you to do so. And each of them cost 100 gems, aka diamonds. Therefore, you actually being a 50 better off. Right. So before I go into a full specific of teams and the file itself, there is this explanation mark which got some extra info I want to share with you. So first of all, I mentioned about we're gonna get a support crystals here, and you'll be actually facing 4 different bosses. As you see, they will come in rotation. So today we're facing this one. We're gonna fight for wisdom crystals for supporters, and then we're gonna flick back to a first world raid. And this very one will reward us with a power crystals for attackers. Then we're gonna go next day to get some agility crystals for shooters, and finally go back to a defense crystals for tanks. There is also one extra key information here, and as you see, you'll be able to actually have extra parties as you're gonna progress within the game. So you see investigation team 1 to 81 party can be used, then 2, and then 3. So I'm gonna address that in just a second, but basically what it tells you, you actually need to have a good 18 characters to actually squeeze a good score in a world raid. Therefore, I believe at the moment when you're in early stages or mid stages, there is a little bit of frustration, how the characters out there squeezing, 100, 200 C damage where you barely squeeze in one. But I'll address that in just a second, okay? So let's just close that, because apart all these crystals I have shown you, there is one extra item. So if I head to my bag and commodities, then you also got something called Almighty Crystal, and this can be actually traded for any crystals for any classes. You're gonna also get it from a world boss as a primary source, and also in many events or a coupon codes. So when you see me putting out shorts about Marriage Girls, often you're gonna get this as reward. And basically this works on 1-to-1 ratio. If you need more, 100 agility crystals, then you will use 100 Almighty crystals and exchange them for that very amount. Okay. Right, so let's just go back now to finally a team composition. So I'm gonna hit that challenge button now, and as you see, I'm actually able to use 3 different parties. So at the moment, I would say early / a mid stage, there is a recommendation that you go with pretty much 1 tank, ideally 2 DPS classes and 3 supports. But obviously this is becoming very, very hard to actually have 3 different teams, and you're talking here about 9 potential support classes. This is pretty much, enhancing every potential support class in a game. Therefore, you'll be topping it up with more damage dealers. Obviously, the principle of the world raid itself is the more damage you will deal to the boss, the more damage boss will deal to yourself. So obviously there is a thin line of how to set it up right. What I want to address at this stage, that the absolute must-have characters for the world boss, and they are top tiers, are Aisha, Hannah, Amethyst, Haida and Ellie, and pretty much you're gonna see these girls in my first team. So what I currently go with, I go with Aisha, as a tank, I've got Haida here. I've got Amethyst, obviously for the support critical. I've got Ellie. Ellie is just here for mana regen. I've got Hannah here. And finally, I'm gonna just do a extra damage with Dana. So now when I go to a second team selection, I'll be just fine in here, and third team I will just add Maelin. Bear in mind, and don't be surprised with it, your first team most likely will deal 90 to 95% of the damage, and then your other team might squeeze another gem or two, and that's pretty much the way it is. That's how I believe it's in these early mid stages where you do not have developed characters, you're still missing gear, you're still missing potential, so do not stress much about it. I believe my best score currently is around or close to 1C, so this is pretty much as far as I can get. And as you see, obviously the more damage you will deal, the more gold you're gonna get, the more crystals you obtaining as well, but at the same time we increasing a level of that boss, which means obviously the harder we will hit, slowly this boss will start reverting this damage back to us. And obviously then when we're talking about secondary and finally a third team, obviously they will go against a very strong boss, therefore this fight will be much shorter than your main one. And I have sort of tried having the strongest team as a first team or a third team. At the moment the scores are very similar, therefore I'm just going and trying to hit it as hard as I can on a first attempt, and then the other teams are going, and if I'll try to squeeze maybe to 45, 46, I'll be just happy with that. Obviously you've got 2 minutes for each round, so ideally in a very late stages of the game you more likely will have more survivability. You know, at the moment when I'm talking about any damage dealer, I pretty much just enhance my hat and necklace just to deal as much damage, pretty much a glass cannon build. Obviously later on when I'll have more gear and more resources to do so, that survivability also gonna be higher. So now we go in finally with the last team, and we actually squeeze a 46 now, which is not bad. I hope maybe get 850, maybe a little bit more of that damage. Yeah, we should be even good with 900, I believe. Yeah. So obviously this team currently, these are all pretty much coming from a Soul Link. There is not much gear enhancement, etc. So I got to be happy with that. We got 47, and as you see my best score was just below 1C. So very happy with the results. Right then guys, so that will be it. I hope you found this useful. As mentioned it a million times already, this is only beginner / a mid stage. I would definitely love to put another video when I'm there maxed out with the characters, and then we'll be able to compare. Right then, so that will be it. Thank you for watching guys, and as always, I'll see you next time.